this episode of the Beyond Talents podcast series with ATP and their brilliant HR professionals. This episode is going to be about people analytics, tech data in HR, and together with me is Josephine and Anders. Josephine, would you like to kick off introducing yourself?
Yeah, hi, Nicklas. I am, as you just said, I work in ATP as an HR professional in a team that works a lot with data and data analytics, as well as projects, global yearly projects. And I've been in the company for over 10 years now. So, that is more or less about myself.
Thank you. And Anders, the sidekick today.
Yes. Yeah, I'm Anders. Also been at ATP for several years now. I started as a student assistant in 2016, and then I graduated from communication in 2018. Applied for a job at ATP, and I got the job. And I've been working in the HR department at ATP ever since. My core task revolves around employer branding. I'm a part of the recruitment and work environment section. But over the years, I've started working more with all the data and the processes running across HR, and that's why I'm here today, because the task led me to work more closely to Josephine. So that's why I'm the sidekick today.
Yes, cool. Mm-hmm. And just to give some context, so the reason why we're here is because your colleague Rie answered a LinkedIn post from me where I asked, who's doing something extraordinary in HR, and Rie is not afraid to brag. So she was like, in ATP we are awesome. Yeah. And then I've been together with you a couple of times, and I actually do think you are awesome.
Thank you.
And especially this area, let's just face it, HR is one of the domains in most organizations that are the fluffiest. We don't measure that much. If we do measure anything, it's maybe like, let's say it's like pseudo KPIs just to show that we do something. It's not only Christmas parties and just pouring people in. But I really want to get understand how your entire setup is, because as we talked about, if we want to analyze, the people analytics part of it, that is like a multi-dimensional profession. We need tech in order to even have like the technology to obtain the data we need and analyze it. We need, funny enough, the data itself and data professionals. And then it's HR. So we also need to know, how do we use this data and how do we work with it? So first of all, Josephine, how many people are you that actually work with data in ATP, and what is the setup right now?
So, like you just described, HR in ATP is very similar to your regular HR setups in different companies. We have the different from recruitment and branding to development to our legal team to our salary. And then I sit in the area that has, and our HR partners, of course. And then I sit in the area that's called HR operations. So under HR operations, you have a few sections. You have the legal, and then you have the salary payment. You have the support, and I will come back to them. And then you have my team. We are a team of 3 people.
Okay.
All in all, I think we're around 10, but I need to check my data. But I can tell you that in my team, we are 3. And our team is called HR Processes, Data Processes.
Okay.
We sit mainly with providing data reportings, people analytics, analytical reportings, and yearly projects like compensation and benefits, like now the equal gender pay. It's our team working on it. I will go back to the HR support team. They're a team of 3.
Yeah.
And they are, I think, the core of what we do. They're the ones who register all the data in the systems, and they're the ones who give us our work.
Yeah.
Without them, we couldn't do what we're doing, and we couldn't deliver. So basically, they're the ones creating, putting the process, or setting up the data as the processes that we have more or less designed for them. So this is a quick version of what we do in HR operations.
Cool.
Yeah.
And there are even large organizations out there in Denmark that don't have anyone working with this. So how did it start in ATP, and what have been the journey from it not really being there to being 3 people and this cross-functional collaboration?
That's actually I love this story. So in the introduction, I don't come from an HR background. I come from actually supply chain. That's what I used to work before I joined ATP. And a lot of the work that I used to do was in data processing. It is collecting data and making sure that your data is aligned. And ATP, like anywhere else, many companies, especially when you go over 10 years ago, data was just a way to pay out salaries and to register employees. And that's where it was when I joined ATP. We had this system, there's no advertising here, SAP, a German... and I remember I came from a French system, which was really hard. And everyone was complaining about SAP when I joined ATP. I thought it was a piece of cake. Like in comparison with the French ones I came from, I thought I got SAP. And I could see that, okay, we're using it to get the salaries paid. Things are functioning, but we're not using it for its full potential. Our data is data, but it's not really... there isn't a data foundation to it. We were lacking a lot of processes in place to align our data and so forth. And that was the journey. So I don't think I would have stayed in ATP. I was not planning to stay in ATP as long as I did.
Okay.
If I didn't get that twist of suddenly I could see, okay, it's not HR. I'm not changing careers to HR. I am setting my new place of data processing in a different context. And my team, it's so interesting because we're 3 people with Lung. We've been there for a while. And we come from very, very different backgrounds. And in some way you have the nerd, and then you have
Who's
the person. That's a bit...
okay, good. But we have one nerd.
And then you have someone who is really into analytics and sitting and looking at all the things that get to him. And then you have the person who has this overview and the experience of looking up from the back, and together we somehow complement one another to deliver what we need to deliver. This is our setup, and this is our journey in ATP. But aligning the data and that's where I think Anders is gonna... We were always introduced as the nerds, which I always took as a compliment because I saw the others from development and stuff. I saw them, and Anders will relate now, I saw them as blue, blah, blah.
Blue, blah, blah.
Yeah, because to
That's
me...
my team, yeah.
Because I just thought, okay, it didn't sound to me as anything I can build anything on. So they thought we were the nerds. And we thought they were the blue, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And going back to, we only worked mainly for many years in SAP. So all our data was SAP. But that is 10 years ago, HR. And the journey in the last 10 years, things have mushroomed. Many systems have mushroomed in HR. And the blue, blah, blah started getting their own systems that were not talking to our systems. And I think this is where Anders can more tell our story of how we started talking to one another.
Yeah, I can do that because, today we have a team of Josephine from processes and me working at HR development and myself from recruitment and employer branding, meeting up, with various frequency. But we have busy periods in our own teams. But we meet up and we talk about data across and. Dealing with projects that can benefit HR across. To tell that story, it started a couple of years ago. We attended an HR seminar, and in the evening, time was set off to social activities, and I was talking to one from Josephine's teams. We were playing football, and we started talking. I think it was about HR matrix. Job architecture, stuff like that. Doesn't matter. Really, the point is we started talking about the data that we work with, each of us. And that was really the starting point, for me at least, beginning to understand what they are doing at Josephine's team. Because like Josephine said, I was in the blue, blah, blah, and I didn't really know what they were doing. I went there sometimes when I needed a number, but I didn't really get what they were doing, and that's also the main point of the story today. It's about breaking down silos, getting to know each other, creating a common language. Yeah. So at the HR seminar, we started talking about data, and when we got back to the office, a few of us from the different teams got together, and I remember, at least I think so, I started the meeting by saying, okay, guys, let me show you some of the data I work with. I don't know if you could use it for anything, but let me just show you the data, the different systems that we are working on that you are not working on. And you can say I threw a ball, and Josephine and team quickly picked it up, and that's why we're here today. Because back then at my team we were only focused on the data that we needed for to do our tasks. To give you an example, if a manager has to hire a person at ATP, it goes through our case management system. You order a job ad, and then in the employer branding team, we make sure that the job ad is created and it's posted, and we are hitting the right people. And so back then, we only asked for data that we needed, and then Josephine joined, and then things changed, luckily. And so now we started collecting data that can benefit across HR. So that was the beginning.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So how does it look like today? As you said, you said SAP, but it has mushroomed. And one of the things when you want to do people analytics out there is a lot of the HR departments, they seriously don't even know how to create a data lake a data pool, and then extract the data to do something with it. That's the first step. You cannot do analytics if you don't have the right amount of data.
No.
So how have you created that setup? Where
it is called. It's always steps. It's silos. You always have these silos, like we just said. But we like to call it in our team finding the common denominator. And to be able to find the common denominator, you need to already have built your data foundation rock solid.
Yeah.
And luckily, because we were nerds for so many years working with the SAP, we had really invested in our common denominator. We had really a very, very strong data foundation that we had been working on. So that meant that when that meeting happened and we started talking to one another, I could already see that, oh my God, he is sitting on gold, like on gold. But how can we take and merge this data? How can we? And I started looking at the common denominator. What do we have as common factors to connect these data together? And here there's something we often talk about, which is that previously, just like maybe 5 years ago or something, and I can be corrected, there were all these companies trying to sell you a one-point solution for everything in HR. Like, we're not going to name names, but we can do everything from A to Z, everything. And everyone was trying to do that. In my opinion, and again, I might be wrong, I think time has proven that that's not going to happen. It's impossible. Data has exploded in the last few years and exploded in a way where it's not connected. So in my opinion, is what you just said, that to go back to what you just mentioned, a data lake. And I would go even bigger than saying HR. I would say a company data lake.
Yeah.
I think it should go all the way up. A company should look at its data in general and see how I can make a data lake. First, make your foundation rock solid, find your common denominator. And also, that's something we struggled with in our team, is get your data back from all these suppliers.
Yeah.
Fight that fight to own your data, connect it in a smart way with a tool, choose which tool, and then democratize it for your organization.
What do you mean by democratizing it?
It means making it understandable, not to only the nerds like me and the blue blah blah like him.
One of the challenges, if we have different providers, dashboard providers giving us different data, and the risk here is that we become a bottleneck of giving the data to the managers to different coworkers, colleagues in HR. So that's one of the things we are working on.
Yeah. And what do you do? What do you measure? What do you show? What do you because again, you could measure everything. Just you could get numbers on everything.
Yeah.
So where have you focused, and where have you seen that either your HR colleagues or the business itself is mostly happy to
to give a concrete example of where we started at. We started combining our ATS and our case management system.
Case management system.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, it's at ATP when you, as a manager, if you are looking to recruit a new employee, you go to the case management system, create a case, and then it takes into my inbox.
Cool.
It says employer branding.
Yes.
Andy, you have to make a job ad.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, we missed some of the data telling us if it's if it's replacement or is it exactly. So we needed to go into the systems, creating new fields for the manager to fill out, because we didn't have that data. So that was the first step we did, and then we used that data to be able to predict the forecast, the forecasting arc. That was really one of the first things, right?
Tell me about the forecasting.
But just to tell you that they wanted to sell us their dashboards when we started that journey. So already there, which we like their dashboards, we think they're very funky. But already there, even though we like their dashboard, we wanted our data back. So we were building up on the different dimensions and criteria to how we were building. Again, wherever you go, you build your data foundation. You can invest in millions in your systems, in millions. But if you don't do that Lego, one brick at a time, you end up back in the same place. So again, we went back to how can we rebuild our data structure there? How can we ask the right questions to get that data back? And then I forgot your answer. You were asking me.
Forecasting.
Forecasting.
That sounds interesting.
So there's always this about the why. And then I think we should touch back on that later on, because we always need to remember why we do what we do. But there was another why that we were asked a few years ago. We could always show with headcounts and FTEs. Every company, you have turnover, headcounts, absenteeism. It's the same trademarks we all play with in HR. And we were asked by our CEO back then, why? Why are we increasing? What's happening? And we could give gut-based answers. We hired here, we hired there. We think we have a few resignations. That was not an answer. This with the why, we couldn't answer. We were standing there and we couldn't. And the why and the who, what is happening here? And that's where the idea started mushrooming. We need to already there be able to forecast what's going to happen, to be able to know on the exit of an employee or on a project, why are we hiring? What is it? Is it because we're replacing an employee? Copy paste? Is it just, one on the other? Or is it because we have new projects? Or is it because we have someone, a chair that is not filled? Already there, catch the why in the beginning. And afterwards, we were able to merge in a system that we have, the forecasting with our actual data. And one of the things I am so happy about is from the recruitment team. Before it was just the nerds working with the systems. Now we have someone also, highs to Louisa, if she's listening. Louisa is sitting with the forecasting now for recruitment, where she can go and do her own projection and put her data in, and then the data gets merged with real live data, and then we can forecast and show our managers and our management what's going to happen. But because it's not coming from only the nerds, because now it's coming from inside recruitment, we have also the why. The why is more answerable, so we can tell them we are projecting this because we have that many resignations, we have projects happening here and there, and because this department is missing some key jobs.
Yeah.
And that we couldn't answer just a few years ago.
No. And to elaborate on the why, so if I were a skeptic, I would say, okay, so I hear 3 nerds. I hear 3 supporters, because as you said, that you need to register a lot of data to have that data.
Yeah.
I hear some cross-functional collaboration. That's a lot of people, a lot of salary cost going into people analytics. Why is this a good business case? Why is it helping ATPs enough as a company to have you as a profession doing this?
I think in general, in any kind of organization, you need to be prepared in general to what's coming. The more you're prepared, the more you know what you do. And if we're going to go concrete data about funding and finances, I think it is cheaper to be prepared than to go in a panic attack like we've had, like many other companies. Now we're going to hire someone temporary to do this or stay extra hours. Or the more you can see data at some point starts talking, the more you reuse it, the more you can see the trends in it. This preparation already saves not only time and salaries, but it saves money. It is for HR, but also HR should not just be somewhere where you give an order to and they go and implement. The HR should be a partner there and already in the beginning as advice and as a partner in general.
Yeah.
And the decision making already there.
Yeah, exactly.
That puts HR is sitting on so much information, so much knowledge. And even though it is not a sales department or finance, it does not connect the bottom line, it is sitting on money. And money as in saving, but also value as in what you get out of your employees. So HR has been often overseen in the value it can give.
Yeah, exactly.
And also the forecast example is just an example, because there are other examples as well. We have onboarding example. We have examples where we are looking at how do we measure the effects of a graduate program. So we have various examples showing us that a solid data foundation will benefit the organization. Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
But that's actually one of the things I find fascinating about you as an organization. In all honesty, ATP, for me, maybe for other Danes,
I'm so curious what you're about to say. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That old dusty place out there, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then after I had some conversations with you, every time I asked, but what are the metrics, or how do you measure it? Why do you do this? Everyone that you're working with in all types of, in all the different parts of HR, they could show me data. They could say, well, we have seen a decrease in how much we need to use external recruitment consultants because we could work data based on the channels we use and the campaigns we do. Our graduate program, we can see it's a good business case because we have data that they, every time that I challenged HR and ATP, they were like, but Nicklas, we have actual quantitative data informing us, and that is something that it's under 1% of HR departments in Denmark that have that much data and that good data.
Yeah.
Because as you said, well, I can also have dashboards, but if the data quality is wrong, then the dashboard itself might be pretty, but it doesn't help me. It doesn't make me make the right decisions. So if you were to look at where you are today with your data and people analytics, what are you looking at? Where do you want to take this to make it even better?
Whoa.
Yeah, whoa.
You need to remember here, I would funny story. As you have probably figured out, I'm not Danish. So I came to Denmark and I joined ATP completely clueless about what ATP is like for the Danish people where I came from. We didn't even have what ATP does. I just remember my husband back then said, you're going to be working in the best arbejdsplads, best working place. It had won some rewards and something like that. So there has been a golden days where ATP, and I still think that ATP values, this is what I want to come to. I think ATP, when I joined the company, there was always this motto about ATP is, we're proud that it won again and again, best working place. and I think this resonates in the company about how we look at our employees and how we see them. It is what we do. We do what we do because we do it ethically. We would like to just say we really are very, very ethical in how we look at our data, but we always have in mind, in the back of our minds, what we do. How is it like giving extra value to our employees? It's a win-win. How we look at it, it's a win-win situation. ATP is getting out of it motivated, well-functioning, balanced employees. But the employees are also, if we succeed in doing what we want to do, the employees also are in a place where they feel they belong and where they feel that they're heard and appreciated. So we see it as a win-win. And I think Anders should talk more about that part. But I would like to emphasize that we are in no way there in our journey where we can sit and flag. I think the part that we can most talk about without any kind of a doubt is that, like you just said, we have a very strong data foundation, 100%. So but all the other part is the journey for us. So I'm not going to sit and brag about anything. It's, we are still in the beginning, but we have this foundation that with the right tools permits us to do a lot of things, achieve a lot of things with time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just before going to you, Anders, you said something that is very important, because a lot of the people out there, one of the reasons why they struggle is not only the tech. Do we have the right tech? Do we then have the right people to analyze it? It's ethics. It is it even okay to gather information? How do we get the data from Nicklas as an employee? Because yes, we know that if we get the right data from Nicklas, we can help him more. But does he want to give that data? Does he know that he's giving that data? Yeah. Should it be transparent or not? How do you work with what's called the humanistic part?
It depends what kind of data we're working on. But in general, we don't work with data that our employees don't know we're working with. And then if there are any surveys, there's always a tick where they need to accept.
Yeah.
But it depends what kind of data. There's very innocent data that you mix together and then talks to you. Graduates, there's nothing confidential. Of course, if you go and start asking the graduate direct questions, how are you doing? Do you feel like you belong? All these questions, then of course he needs to approve before we can work with the data. But in general, we have a lot of accessible data that is not sensitive. And also I'd like to say that we do, it took me a while to really sink it in, but we do scramble our data after a period. We don't keep our data, we scramble it and it's not accessible anymore.
Okay.
From a data perspective, it makes me a bit sad because I would like to see the history, but at the same time, we respect that and then we delete it. So it's scrambled and it's gone. Did it answer your question?
It did. Thank you. Yeah, so it is actually, as you said, it is accessible data that you then, can mix in a way that informs you almost as valid as if I gave you the answer. And if you ask me a direct question, then I know it's direct, and then you can either go anonymous or you can go like...
Exactly. Just you being your journey as an employee already there from the day you sign a contract. You are already there in a system, in a company, and that's just accessible data as much internally as is on LinkedIn or whatever you post. So this is just for everyone. Yeah. And then, like you just said, anything you add that is asking opinion, of course, it turns into sensitive.
Yeah. Perfect. And now, next level people analytics data in ATP. What's the next you are looking at in 2025?
We're dreaming big, right?
Yeah.
But how much?
We want to climb the analytics ladder, going from descriptive to predictive analytics. We want to be able to bring data home, own our own data, bring them home from various providers, from the dashboards we talked about earlier on. And then we want to be able to predict resignation due to onboarding problems, for instance. We want to be able to, based on data, look into the need of recruitment support because of numbers in the forecasting stuff like that. And another thing we are looking at right now is to get the right BI tool to help us out go even further. So
what we're working, I think, on is still relatively new in the world of HR. I think generations after us are going to come with degrees that more or less defines what we're doing. For us, our generation is learn as you go. So we're setting, I think, the way for others, but there is definitely back to how can you connect your data so that it can talk to you. And this from going to KPIs that are standard, turnover, absenteeism, overtime, all this, that traditionally is what is asked from HR, and it's so good that we can deliver on that on the spot. In ATP, we can, because we have a good data foundation. But how can we go and say, I can see that you have already there in the organization red zones of employees that we can see we have defined together as leaders and, HR, our key employees. We can see here you have red zones already coming up. We can help you then through different parts of HR. We can help you with our development part, with our HR partner part to help and redefine it. How can we go from just prescriptive to predictive? And then the biggest dream, which is way, way far away, how can we be descriptive? How can we say, okay, we can see here, so you need to be prepared. I love forecasting, for instance. You need to be prepped here. We think that you need to already start mobilizing in the market, or we think that, how can we go that extra? But that is very far away. I think we're to be concrete and go back to dreaming big, to go back to stand on our feet. Today, it's data foundation, continue with that. Any new data that you merge, go back, find your common denominator, and then connect it. Do it. So it's a small journey all the time. Anything extra, just, all the time thinking in the back of your head, my employee, the why. Because there are some data that are noise, pointless. I don't need that. Without it, don't waste your time on it. How can I take this? How can it help me in the future with my employee? The why, always.
The why, yeah.
And then make it turn into own your data. Like all these suppliers want to give you their dashboards. Insist you want your data. It's my data. I want it. Merge it and then make a system that starts running. You have this data foundation, this data process, this running. And that's why I said in our HR support that they are worth, because they're the ones who make this engine work all the time. And then data lake, like you started this episode by saying, what is our data lake in ATP? How do I take this data and how do I supply it to our organization? And I think that is for us the big next step.
Yeah, and just one thing connected to the why and the think big. We are dreaming big, but we also we know that we have to start small, and we have to focus on the why, because we don't need to build a dashboard for every dashboard we say goodbye to from the providers. No. We really need to be focused on how is this giving value to the manager, to the HR partner, because otherwise it will be too much. You will be data overwhelmed. Yeah. We really need to have these conversations. What does the manager need to know? Yeah. Because, like I said, we are getting in the risk of being a bottleneck, but we cannot expect from the managers to get all this data and then make your own decision. We still need to pick and choose what's the most important data. Yeah.
And also, I would like to also say that traditional KPIs, I don't think we can use that when in the next. We need to set our own KPIs. What is our success factors? A bit, keep an eye on the benchmark always, because it's an indicator. But make your own KPIs. What is my success? How can I measure that I've succeeded? And because to me, as a person that likes data, it becomes, again, we go back to the blue, blah, blah. If we cannot measure what we're doing, the value, how, and set these goals and your internal KPI to how can I say I succeeded or I didn't? Because there might be that you go on a wild witch hunt that ends you back to where you started, and you say, okay, I failed, and it's okay to fail. Yeah. But if you don't have some kind of a goal, you're just going to go in all places and not really be focused on what is it you want to achieve.
Yeah. So if you were to give one advice for an HR department out there that doesn't have a person employed with your competency set, because most organizations out there, they don't have a person who have like a specific specialty in analytics and data. Most people out there, they are blue, blah, blah. No, they are doing, they might be a team of someone is doing talent attraction, maybe even attraction and acquisition. Someone is doing HR admin. Someone is doing HR development. So what would be your advice for that HR department that doesn't have one person they can just say, you are now responsible, but they want to be more data informed? They want to be a better business partner for their organization.
I mean, you go back to your common denominator. Put that first brick.
Yeah.
Before analytics, before systems, before anything. Build it. Start building it one Lego block at a time.
Yeah.
Because that's where the journey starts, really. It's you go back to that, your data foundation.
Yeah.
That is what I'm seeing when I go out and when I talk with others or when we're networking. I see companies with so many fundings, but they're missing the first brick.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't matter, really. You can have all these systems, but then you're going to be driven by someone else's way of doing it instead of you defining.
Yeah.
See what you want to do. What is it you're trying to achieve? If you just want to hire, fire, and everything between, fine. This is your company. But if you see value in enabling your employees, if you can see a bigger picture of why you have employees and why you started this company, then start doing your data foundation. That first brick, put it.
Cool.
Denominator.
Thanks. You're nodding, Anders. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think if you're working in an organization the size of ATP, then also be curious. What does the other guys in the apartment really do? Be curious on the systems you are working with, and then also keep going. It requires stamina, I think, to make these changes. Because, like Josephine is saying, you need to work with a solid foundation, and things take time. So you can't just do like, okay, let's do like this, and then we get all the answers. You really need to put some thought into this to be able to get the results in the end.
Yeah.
And in a big organization, you meet different challenges. So you need the stamina also to just, okay, we cannot go this way. Let's try another way.
Yeah.
I think that's important as well.
Yeah, we're challenging traditional HR, aren't we?
Exactly. Yeah. That's actually one of the things I love about this. Yeah. We had that conversation. Jasmine, that is, we in HR, we think we can do it all. But talent attraction, that's marketing and communications. We in HR, why should we be better than actual marketing and communication professionals at doing attraction? People analytics, that's tech and data. Why should we in classic HR, why should we be better at tech and data than tech and data people? So it's just, this really shows also like the modern HR organization where you bring people in from different professions instead of thinking everyone needs to be brought up in HR and then do their specialty from there. No, we can actually really gain from having a more diverse HR organization.
Yeah, use your information, your knowledge of HR.
Exactly.
Because no one else can take that. Your knowledge.
Exactly.
But use the people you need to do. You need to get where you want to go. But here's your knowledge. No one can take that. That's traditional HR. That's knowledge.
And on that note, thank you so much, you two, for this fantastic conversation. And thank you for listening and watching.